Calvin James was just 22 years old, but life had already dealt him some tough blows. Growing up in a small town, he had dreams like any other young man, hopes of finding a good job, making friends, and maybe even falling in love one day. But as time passed, circumstances changed. His family faced financial struggles that made it hard to stay afloat, and when they lost their home, everything fell apart. With nowhere else to turn, Calvin found himself on the streets. He wandered from place to place, searching for shelter and food. Nights were especially hard. The cold air bit at his skin as he tried to find a warm spot to sleep. On this particular night, he chose to settle behind a concert hall where Frank Sinatra was performing. The excitement of the concert buzzed in the air, and even though he couldn't afford a ticket, Calvin hoped to catch a glimpse of the legendary singer. As he lay there shivering, Calvin listened intently to the sound of rehearsals from inside. The music flowed like a warm blanket over him, wrapping him in a sense of comfort. He dreamed of happier times while he waited for the show to begin. But reality hit hard as the chill crept deeper into his bones. He felt invisible and alone in the world. It was during this moment of despair that fate took an unexpected turn. Little did he know that soon he would encounter someone who would change his life, someone whose kindness would spark a light of hope when all seemed lost. This moment would mark the beginning of a new chapter in Calvin's story, one filled with promise and the potential for change. Calvin's days blurred together, each one filled with the same struggles and worries. Finding food was a constant challenge. Mornings often began with him scouring nearby trash cans or begging for spare change from passers-by. Some people would stop and help, offering a warm meal or a few coins, but many walked by without a glance, making him feel even more invisible. Staying warm was another battle. Nights were the toughest, with the chill seeping into his bones as he wrapped himself in thin layers of clothing. He relied on scraps of cardboard and old newspapers as makeshift blankets, trying to create a barrier against the biting cold. Sometimes he would feel a flicker of hope when he heard distant laughter or saw lights from nearby cafes. They reminded him of what he once had, a home and a sense of belonging. The emotional toll weighed heavily on him. Loneliness became his constant companion, haunting him like a shadow. Calvin missed the simple joys of life, the comfort of friends and family, laughter shared over dinner, and even the warmth of the sun on his face during carefree summer days. Instead, he felt trapped in a world where despair seemed to grow like weeds in his heart. Despite these hardships, music was his escape. As he listened to Frank Sinatra's voice drifting from inside the concert hall, it sometimes lifted his spirits for a moment. It reminded him that beauty still existed in the world, even if it felt just out of reach. Calvin held on to that thread of hope, dreaming that one day things could change for him. Little did he know that fate had something special in store, something that could bring light back into his life when he needed it most. The concert hall stood tall and grand, its elegant architecture sparkling under the evening lights. Ornate carvings adorned the entrance, while large glass doors welcomed guests into a world filled with glamour and excitement. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation as fans gathered, eager to see Frank Sinatra perform. The lobby was vibrant, filled with laughter and chatter. People dressed in their finest clothes mingled, their faces lit up with joy and enthusiasm. The sweet scent of fresh popcorn and warm pretzels wafted through the air, mixing with the soft melodies that floated from the stage during soundcheck. Calvin could hear the music echoing outside, each note sending shivers of emotion through him as he listened. As he huddled behind the concert hall, Calvin imagined the sea of faces inside, the smiles of those who could afford tickets, their excitement palpable. He pictured them swaying to Sinatra's smooth voice, hands clapping in rhythm to the classic songs that told stories of love and hope. The contrast between their joy and his solitude felt sharp, yet he found comfort in being so close to something beautiful. The concert hall was more than just a building, it represented dreams and possibilities. For Calvin, it was a place where he could escape his worries for a little while. Even from his spot outside, he felt connected to the magic happening within those walls. The music seeped through the cracks, wrapping around him like a warm embrace, reminding him that happiness was still out there, even if it felt distant. Little did he know that this very night would bring an unexpected twist to his story, a moment that would bridge the gap between his struggles and the hope he longed for. As the crowd inside prepared for an unforgettable performance, Calvin remained unaware that fate was about to intervene in a way he could never have imagined. As the soundcheck began, the concert hall filled with the rich, velvety tones of Frank Sinatra's voice. Soundchecks are crucial for performers. It's a time to ensure that microphones, instruments, and acoustics are just right before the real show starts. For Calvin, listening to this moment from behind the hall was like stepping into a dream. Each note floated out into the night air, wrapping around him like a warm hug. He closed his eyes, imagining he was inside, swaying with the crowd. He pictured himself in a well-worn seat with bright lights shining overhead as people around him cheered and clapped. The music lifted his spirit, allowing him to forget the cold concrete beneath him and the heaviness of his struggles. Frank's smooth voice carried stories of love, heartache, and hope, resonating deeply within Calvin's heart. For those precious minutes, the soundcheck transformed his reality. He felt as though he was part of something bigger, a beautiful world where dreams could come true. As the melodies danced around him, they filled in the cracks of loneliness that surrounded his life. Every chord struck a familiar feeling of longing, reminding him that music had a unique power to heal and inspire. Though he was alone, Calvin felt a sense of belonging in those moments. There was magic in the air, the kind that whispered promises of better tomorrows and rekindled his hope. He allowed himself to dream big, envisioning a future where he wouldn't be stuck behind a concert hall but instead embracing life with joy and laughter. Little did Calvin know how profound an impact this night would have on him. As Sinatra's rehearsal came to a close, something unexpected was about to happen that would change his life forever. It was as if fate was carefully orchestrating a moment just for him amid all this beauty and music. As the soundcheck wrapped up, the last notes of Sinatra's song hung in the air, resonating with an energy that seemed to vibrate through the ground. Calvin's heart raced as he remained hidden behind the concert hall, captivated by the magic he had just experienced. The excitement buzzing inside was palpable, yet he felt a bittersweet pang of longing for a life where he could be part of such beauty. Suddenly, the large door swung open, and there stood Frank Sinatra himself, stepping out into the cool night air. The moment felt surreal, like a scene from a movie. Calvin's breath caught in his throat as he watched the legendary singer emerge, his presence commanding and charismatic. Frank scanned the area, perhaps looking for a moment of quiet before the show, when his gaze landed on Calvin. Calvin's heart raced even faster. Here was the man whose voice had given him hope in his darkest moments, and now they were mere feet apart. To Calvin, it felt like fate had orchestrated this encounter, bringing two very different worlds together for just a brief moment. Frank noticed the shivering young man crouched on the ground, and without hesitation, he approached Calvin. It was as if time slowed down. Every step Frank took felt monumental. "Hey there, kid," he said softly, his voice warm and reassuring. Then, without a second thought, Frank removed his coat and draped it around Calvin's shoulders. The coat smelled faintly of cologne and warmth, wrapping Calvin in comfort. Along with the coat, Frank offered him some cash and leaned in slightly, whispering words that would resonate deeply within Calvin. "Don't give up, kid. You're gonna be okay." Those few simple phrases ignited a spark of hope within Calvin that he hadn't felt in a long time. In that magical moment, two lives crossed paths, a legend offering kindness to a young man lost in despair, forever changing the course of Calvin's story. As Frank Sinatra stepped outside, the chill of the evening air hit him, but his focus quickly shifted to Calvin, who was huddled on the ground, visibly shivering against the cold. The sight of the young man, alone and seemingly lost in despair, tugged at Frank's heart. He had always believed in the power of kindness, and knew instinctively that he couldn't just walk past without offering help. Without hesitation, Frank approached Calvin with a warm smile that radiated sincerity. "Hey there, kid," he said softly, his voice comforting amidst the noise of the bustling concert scene. As he knelt down beside Calvin, he noticed how thin the boy looked beneath his worn layers of clothing. It broke Frank's heart to see someone so young and full of potential struggling so much. In an act that spoke volumes about his character, Frank unfastened his coat and gently wrapped it around Calvin's shoulders. The coat enveloped him in warmth. Its weight felt like a shield against the harsh world outside. "Here, keep warm," Frank said kindly, making sure it fit snugly around Calvin. The scent of cologne mixed with the fabric brought an unexpected sense of comfort to Calvin in that moment. But Frank didn't stop there. He reached into his pocket and pulled out some cash, placing it in Calvin's hand with a reassuring pat. "This will help a bit," he said quietly, looking directly into Calvin's eyes as if to convey that he truly cared about his well-being. As Frank stood up to leave, he leaned closer and offered one last piece of encouragement. "Don't give up, kid. You're gonna be okay." Those words hung in the air like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. In that brief encounter, marked by generosity and kindness, Calvin felt a flicker of hope igniting within him. It was a simple gesture from a music legend, but one that would forever change Calvin's perspective on life and inspire him to keep fighting for better days ahead. As Calvin sat there, wrapped in the warmth of Frank Sinatra's coat, he felt a shift within him, a flicker of hope that had been absent for far too long. Frank's words, "Don't give up, kid. You're gonna be okay," echoed in his mind, resonating deeply with his spirit. Each word seemed to peel away the layers of despair that had settled around him over the months of hardship. In that moment, Calvin realized that someone believed in him, a feeling he had almost forgotten. The sincerity in Frank's voice was like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters, pulling him back from the brink of hopelessness. It was as if Frank could see beyond the shivering exterior and recognize the potential hidden inside Calvin, waiting for a chance to shine. As he sat there, the weight of his struggles began to feel lighter. Those simple yet powerful words ignited a spark within him, prompting memories of dreams that had once seemed so far away. He recalled aspirations of finding a steady job, reconnecting with family, and even pursuing his passion for music. For the first time in a long while, he began to visualize a future where he could succeed and find happiness. Frank's encouragement acted as a reminder that life was still full of possibilities, even amid darkness. It encouraged Calvin to think about taking steps toward change. Instead of resigning himself to helplessness, he felt inspired to reach out for help and seek opportunities to turn his life around. In that brief encounter under the night sky, Frank Sinatra became more than just a music legend. He became a symbol of hope and resilience for Calvin. The impact of those few words would stay with him long after the warm coat was gone, fueling his determination to rise above his circumstances and embrace the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Calvin sat on the edge of a new reality, the weight of Frank Sinatra's coat resting on his shoulders feeling like more than just warmth. It was a tangible sign of hope. The encounter had ignited something within him, a fire that had long been extinguished by the harshness of his circumstances. For the first time in what felt like forever, he began to consider the possibility of change. With Frank's words echoing in his mind, "Don't give up, kid. You're gonna be okay," Calvin realized he no longer wanted to be defined by his homelessness. That night, he made a decision. It was time to seek help. Inspired by the kindness of a stranger, Calvin felt empowered to reach out and explore the resources available to him. The next day, he found himself at a local shelter that offered support for those in need. The staff was warm and welcoming, and when he shared his story, they listened intently. They helped him find food, clothing, and even provided access to counseling services. Each step taken away from the street felt monumental, a leap towards reclaiming his life. In the following weeks, Calvin worked hard to rebuild himself. He registered for job training programs and began applying for jobs that aligned with his skills and interests. The determination sparked by Frank's simple gesture motivated him through challenges that once seemed insurmountable. Calvin also discovered community resources dedicated to helping young people like him. He participated in workshops that taught life skills and offered mentorship opportunities. Surrounding himself with supportive individuals who believed in him made all the difference. As days turned into weeks, Calvin found not only stability but also a renewed sense of purpose. the warmth of Frank's coat became a symbol of transformation, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there lies a glimmer of hope waiting to be ignited. This turning point marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one filled with possibility and promise as he moved forward with courage and determination. Frank Sinatra's simple act of kindness toward Calvin had profound repercussions, showcasing how small gestures can create powerful ripples in someone's life. In a world often overshadowed by despair, Frank's willingness to pause and help a stranger not only warmed Calvin's body but ignited hope within his heart. This moment exemplifies the idea that compassion can be transformative, often in ways we cannot immediately see. Acts of kindness, no matter how small, have the potential to change lives. For Calvin, the warmth of Frank's coat was more than just protection from the cold. It symbolized belief and humanity at a time when he felt invisible. It highlighted that even in moments of profound struggle, there are people willing to reach out and make a difference. Frank's words, "Don't give up, kid. You're gonna be okay," echoed in Calvin's mind long after their encounter, serving as a reminder that someone believed in him. The story serves as a testament to how kindness can inspire courage. Once Calvin felt seen and supported, he was motivated to take action toward improving his situation. The encouragement he received spurred him on a path to seek help, find resources, and ultimately rebuild his life. It is a powerful reminder that showing empathy toward others can create significant change, not just for those receiving help but also for those offering it. Frank's gesture highlights the importance of looking beyond our immediate concerns and recognizing those in need around us. It encourages us to be mindful of how our actions, however small, can lift others and encourage them to pursue their dreams. In a world where many struggle silently, acts of kindness remind us of our shared humanity and the impact we can have when we choose to lend a hand to those who need it most. Calvin's journey after that life-changing encounter with Frank Sinatra is a powerful testament to hope and resilience. The warmth of Frank's coat and the singer's encouraging words acted as catalysts for change, guiding Calvin to rediscover his self-worth and potential. Each step he took toward rebuilding his life was fueled by the belief that he could rise above his circumstances. As he navigated the challenges ahead, Calvin learned that resilience is not just about enduring hardships but also about embracing opportunities for growth. He faced setbacks along the way, moments when doubt crept back in, threatening to overshadow his newfound hope. Yet, the memory of Frank's kindness served as a constant reminder that even in the darkest times, there is light to be found in human connection. Calvin found strength in community, as he engaged with mentors and peers who believed in him. Their support helped him cultivate skills and pursue interests that had once seemed out of reach. With each small victory, he gained confidence, learning to trust himself again. The journey was not easy, but it was filled with lessons about perseverance and the importance of believing in oneself. Through hard work, determination, and the inspiration drawn from that pivotal encounter, Calvin began to thrive. He not only sought help but also became an advocate for others facing similar struggles. Sharing his story became a way for him to give back, showing that change is possible and that kindness can ripple through lives, creating waves of transformation. As Calvin reflects on his journey, he recognizes that hope is a powerful force. It can uplift those who feel lost and ignite a passion for change. His life is now a tapestry woven with experiences of struggle and triumph, reminding us all of the profound impact small acts of kindness can have. In the end, Calvin embodies the belief that no matter how difficult life may seem, there is always a chance for a brighter tomorrow if one dares to dream and take the first step forward.